MRA to focus on benefit flows to communities in 2019. Port Moresby braces for more heavy rain. And city Betelnut sellers want market.
This is National MTV News with Merba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Friday's news. Whilst 2018 has been a challenging year for Papua New Guinea's mining industry, the country's mining regulator aims to improve its performance over the next 12 months to ensure more benefits flow through to communities. Speaking to National MTV News recently, Mineral Resources Authority Acting Managing Director Nathan Mosusu said the onus was on the organization to constantly improve. Speaking to MTV News recently, the Acting Managing Director of MRA spoke on what the MRA would be focusing on in 2019. Among its immediate priorities, improving and increasing its geoscience programs to map mineral deposits around the country.
I think from our end, we will continue with our geoscience programs. We have started very well with our geochem sampling programs. Also the geological mapping, where we intend to produce higher resolution geological data. From the current 250,000 scale, we would like to reduce that to 100,000. Apart from the geology and geochemistry, we are really seriously looking at doing another airborne survey. And we have been thinking about going to the Chinese government for assistance in that area.
With the Wafi Golpu mining project a focus of the national government in 2019, the MRA has also committed to playing its role as a facilitator for negotiations between all stakeholders, with a view to have these negotiations completed prior to a potential MOA for the project.
Our role basically is facilitating the benefit sharing discussions. We have commenced the MOA process earlier middle of this year, where our minister officially opened that in Leh. So from now on, it's just about facilitating all the different stakeholders, the government, the company, and the landowners, plus the provincial governments and local level governments, in getting together and discussing how much each of the stakeholders will be getting from the project.
But whilst it may be a new year, the challenges remain much the same, with landowner issues among the constant issues that the MRA will have to deal with. Added on to that, the MRA's efforts to work within the Public Money Management Regularization Act, which is enforced by the Finance Department.
Well, as usual, landowners are a big challenge. Funding this year was an issue for us, given that we had to, we came under the control of the Public Monies and Management Regularization Act. So that was a bit of a bump, let's say, but we have managed to get over that, and I think we have some good understanding with the Department of Finance, so we anticipate 2019 to be much, much better.
Port Moresby residents will be expecting more rains and clogging up of drains as the wet weather continues in the southern region. While most are grateful for the rainy season, others will spend time clearing up drains to prevent their yards and homes from being flooded.
While the continuous rainy season experienced in Port Moresby is considered a good thing, it comes with some disadvantages. For subsistence farmers, it is a blessing from the skies in their favor to plant and harvest more. But for city residents living near big drainage systems or the roadside, it is in their hope the drains do not overflow into their yards and damage their homes. One notorious flooding spot in Port Moresby, which continues to experience flooding, is the road leading into the Papua New Guinea Defence Force barracks at Tauranga, the home of the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment. James Ole, a long-time resident at Tauranga, was amongst a group of people removing debris from the drain.
Yes, so small rains are coming. All people on top as far as come also manu come also by come Islam only waterway so and but come go come go then by go no them PBS have block law here and big law problem it's been ongoing Minnesota by NCDC by fixing Islam one time problem tubla culverts stop the separation between the two culverts that's where the all rubbish get clogged up. And then there's blockage over there, so there's overflow over there. And then Moresby go backside Labna, Igorsham.
In November, the National Weather Service had advised people living in parts of the southern region that they will be experiencing hot weather and minimum rainfall. But going towards the new year, and the weather in Port Moresby has changed with more rainfall, with scenes like this in areas where there is drainage blockage.
Clean up or semi neighborhood here, so all families here on the upside, all sleep. I think there are about 5, 6, 7 people affected all households here, so all picking blow, all some friends people come some clearing all debris blow, all traffic flow na kind of some help community no what pay or something stuff. Yeah.
And the overflow gives a glimpse of just how much rubbish is left lying around along the main highway or thrown into the drains. Thekla National MTV News.
The RO aid post in the Copiago district of Hela province was recently reopened 15 years after it was closed. This was made possible through the efforts of local woman leader Julie Allo and others who wished the aid post to operate again. Mrs. Allo said the aid post will now help the community treat curable diseases and is looking forward to building a better health center in 2020 with the support from the community.
1,000 people gathered to witness the recent reopening of RO aid post in the remote community of Koroba Lake, Copiago district. Julie Aro, a vibrant woman and member to the Advancing PNG Women Leadership Network, initiated the project to support her people. Mrs. Allo said she received support from the people and the women group.
Osem so as me leader to me clear law osem hamasiman me na stop on them also. I'm looking more me faithful law helping more mama na work on them all na stop on them now me giving me should blow me na MRA.
The RO aid post in Copiago district, Hela province, has been closed for 15 years. Over the years, communities in and around RO village had to travel for hours to get treatment at the nearest health center. Julie Allo started the project after winning $1,000 Ralph Stone Award after attending Women's Management Program run by Plan International USA. Mrs. Allo donated the award towards reopening the aid post. The aid post will serve 4 out of 6 wards in the Copiago district. Mrs. Allo said with the help from communities, she looks forward to building a better one in 2020. She aims to address the high rate of death caused by curable diseases like malaria, diarrhea and infant mortality rate. Mary Bonigani, National MTV News, Leh.
Despite the Buai ban in the National Capital District, some on the outskirts of the city continue to sell Betelnut. The Betelnut sellers of 9 Mile Sigrap Market continue to sell Betelnut despite the ban. MTV News spoke with them and many say they want a proper market built.
Since the law on Buai ban was imposed in Port Moresby, it has affected the lives of those who sell Betelnut. However, selling of Betelnut is not restricted in certain areas. The Betelnut sellers of 9 Mile are calling on the governor of NCD to build a proper market in which they could sell Betelnut. Lynette Lumia says selling Betelnut at 9 Mile Market is not safe. She says most times they are disturbed from doing their business.
Sida no sem kind of rough market na bota. Ospakman tu sa kam no got good proper market or all government no one him to no look sa mta sida no mta sida. Police kam tu mta sanap na ran. So mta like on good proper market we bamda market na sida.
Betelnut selling has been the backbone of business in the informal sector. For those that are unemployed, many of them sell Betelnut to sustain their living. Roslyn Ingili says the income received from selling Betelnut is utilized to keep her going. She says a similar Buai market such as the Sabama and Koki Buai market should be built at 9 Mile.
Sabama market, Koki market, all got proper market, block Buai, block AK. But people no got look sabe. People surround one police. Time no go time people round it the road. So people like one member must come look sabe. 9 Mile people here.
Suli, National MTV News.
You're watching Friday's News. We'll be back with more after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to National MTV News. The start of the new year is just around the corner, and it's the time of the year again when people start making New Year resolutions. While some keep their resolutions, others are unable to. MTV News went to the streets of Port Moresby to find out what resolutions for the year 2019 and if some have kept the resolutions from this year.
1, 2, 3, go!
The 1st of January 2019 comes with many determined to change old habits for the sake of a new year. We went around Port Moresby to see what people had on their list of habits to get rid of or their plans to achieve.
Zaligli called quite me all me work lo play focus he called all family or spy now and me had lo lose him to something now 2019 come try me lose him as
ya go lo tuna sensimle because before yet mismo ke boy go na lilik peblo mi misa kisim lo ngedu em lilik money to mas mi pon primary school teacher Londu segisim na mi hado lugar mol family na same time work like Buai smoke be conduct again.
So now it's the New Year 2019 come before after New Year lem lo side numia te mi lusim bia because money am sa finish lo bia na sla something so.
While some are listing their resolutions down, we managed to find someone who has stuck to her New Year's resolution since 2015.
Okay, I still keep my promise. My New Year's resolution started in 2015 to stop chewing Betelnut, and it's been 3 years haven't been chewing, and I still maintain my New Year's resolution.
Betelnut free and with pearly white teeth, Christine says she has saved a lot over the 3 years since her New Year's resolution to stop chewing. Adelaide Sirks Kari, National MTV News.
Turning overseas now, Indonesia has raised its alert level as more eruptions continue to trigger another deadly tsunami. Officials have widened the exclusion zone and ordered all flights to stay clear.
Clouds of ash billowing 3,000 meters into the sky. There is no let-up from Anak Krakatau, spewing lava and rocks, a constant threat of sending another killer wave careering towards the coast. The chief of Indonesia's geological agency says they've raised the danger alert to the second highest level, with further eruptions expected. The exclusion zone around the island has been expanded from 2 to 5 kilometres, and air traffic controllers have rerouted flights to avoid the area. This satellite imagery shows the volcano before and after Sunday's eruption, revealing the crater collapse. It set off an undersea landslide, which triggered the tsunami that killed hundreds. The death toll has climbed to 430, but that could rise, with more than 150 still missing and many more injured. Banten residents have started clearing debris, but thousands have been left homeless. This farmer says he has nowhere to go and no money. Continuous heavy rains have only added to the problem, leaving half of the coastal town of Labuan submerged. The water flowed in, says this local resident, and an increasing amount of water kept pouring in. A close eye is being kept on the seas as increased eruptions raise fears that the volcano slopes could collapse again. This year, Indonesia's already suffered its worst annual death toll from natural disasters in more than a decade. And they're nervous there's still more to come.
To the Middle East, a ceasefire around Yemen's major port is holding for now allowing more aid to flow into the country. But for many who have escaped the guns of the Saudi-backed Yemeni forces and Iranian-backed Houthi rebels, starvation is now the biggest threat.
Here's what desperation looks like. A bowl of boiled leaves. They're cooking these to eat them?
From trees.
Having fled from Saudi airstrikes and vicious fighting, these people in remote northern Yemen are now up against another killer: hunger. Inside this tent, Fatima is frozen with grief. Nurse Makia Mehdi explains that her baby starved to death just last week. On the far left, teenage Sarah is also deeply traumatized. Flashback to 2015, when Saudi warplanes bombed another camp in the area, killing 43, including 2 members of Sarah's family. She saw it all, and she hasn't said a word since. As a guesstimate, says Makia, maybe 15,000 people in this district alone are marooned in misery and utterly broke. The cruel paradox is that just a few miles away on the main road, there's plenty of food, but the destitute can't dream of buying it. In this rugged landscape, the Aslam Clinic is a beacon of hope. Nurse Makia is coaxing 25 malnourished babies back from the brink. Assam is 2, and he weighs just half of what he should. Yet he won't eat the high-nutrition paste Makia offers him. Why would he refuse food?
He wants to vomit, just like
he can't keep it down. International aid groups led by the UN are battling political and logistical obstacles to reach the victims of this war. But this is an emergency, and time is running short.
You're with Friday's News. We'll be back with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Friday's News. To the U.S., President Trump's Homeland Security Secretary is heading to the Mexican border after the death of a second child in U.S. custody.
These are the first images of 8-year-old Felipe Gomez Alonso, his family back home sharing the photos while they comfort his grieving mother. I want my son to come back home soon. I am very sad because he is dead, his mother said in an interview with Univision. She asked his body be sent back to Guatemala as soon as possible. His is the second death of a detained migrant child this month. The first prompted outrage on Capitol Hill.
I'm asking you to promise that there won't be another death under your watch.
You have my commitment to ensure that all of our detention centers take good care of those in our care.
This week, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen announced across-the-board health screenings for all children in Border Patrol custody. She's expected to visit facilities in El Paso tomorrow.
We shouldn't have had to wait until children died in government custody for the government to begin to act. It should have never happened.
Dylan Corbett helps migrants seeking asylum find a place to stay until they're able to connect with relatives in the United States. His nonprofit and others here have been swamped by more than 1,000 migrants who've been unexpectedly dropped off by border agents since Sunday. Many just left at bus stations with nowhere to go. Corbett says it's a sign of a broken system.
What challenges does it present for the community when these people are dropped off unexpectedly?
Yeah, there are lots of ripple effects because these are folks who need food, they need a place to shower, they need to be able to telephone their relatives and their contacts in their home countries.
To the UK, Britain's most senior police officer says no-deal Brexit could lead to safety and security problems. Her warning came on the same day 9 more illegal migrants were captured trying to cross the English Channel.
Whatever the motives of the migrants fleeing to Britain, more than 20 were picked up overnight. Catching the gangs organising this illegal trade is never easy. But today, Britain's top police officer warned it could get a lot harder if we leave the EU with no deal.
We will have to replace some of the things we currently use in terms of access to databases, the way in which we can quickly arrest and extradite people, these kinds of things. We'll have to replace as effectively as we can. That will be more costly, undoubtedly, slower, undoubtedly, and potentially, yes, put the public at risk.
The National Police Chiefs Council has already warned policing will get more difficult. With the European arrest warrant, it takes about 6 days to get a criminal back to Britain. Under a no-deal scenario, they say it could take up to 66 days. There are also 539 million data checks every year through EU systems, which could be affected. Police chiefs have been involved in contingency planning for no deal, but Cressida Dick made clear today that while some systems could be replicated quickly after Brexit, others, such as the European arrest warrant, could not, potentially putting public safety at risk.
It's now clear Brexit is Christmas for criminals. When Britain's top police commander tells that with a no-deal Brexit, Britain would be less safe, MPs should sit up and listen.
But one leading Brexiter said the Home Office was well prepared and there was nothing to fear.
We've just had another cabinet led by the Prime Minister reviewing all the arrangements if we leave without the withdrawal agreement, and they didn't put out anything from that saying, oh, it can't be done or it's dreadful.
The police, it seems, are far less sanguine.
Golden coin turtles are a critically endangered species. They can only be found in Hong Kong and in very small numbers in the wild. The government there aims to help the turtles by funding a program to catch trappers, but is it enough to save them?
In the jungles above Hong Kong, there's a living treasure, an animal on the verge of extinction in the wild, which poachers risk jail time and big fines to capture. Conservationists are battling to save this golden coin turtle.
The main reason that we're doing this is because we want to reduce the threat to turtles, and one of the main threats is illegal trapping.
By a stream bank, researchers find evidence left by what they suspect are turtle trappers, who apparently ignore anti-poaching warnings from city authorities.
So far, we don't find this very effective because we don't see like real enforcement follow this, like putting up this sign. Even worse, we thought about putting up this sign may tell people that there are turtles in the place.
This is a female golden coin turtle. So she's a critically endangered semi-aquatic turtle that used to thrive all across southern China and parts of Southeast Asia, but now this species only lives in the wild here in Hong Kong. Now some people, they want to own her as a pet, or they want to eat her. And some actually believe that this species might have medicinal properties that could actually cure cancer. And it is her golden head and the 3 stripes on her shell that some people believe make her lucky, and as a result, even more valuable. A conservation program set up by Kaduri Farm and supported by the government aims to safely breed golden coin turtles. Conservationists had hoped to release them into the wild within 5 years, but 20 years later, that's still not considered safe.
We're actually going to be running trials in the next couple of years to run small-scale experiments in semi-wild controlled environments to find out if the turtles we've reared know how to survive in the wild. But still, we've got a couple of years of work, I think, before we're ready for that. And that's coincidentally not such a bad thing, because I think the wild still needs a couple of years before it's going to be safe.
Activists want stricter law enforcement to prevent the sale of these turtles and other endangered species in Asian markets. If not, they fear this ancient reptile may only survive in captivity.
One day, hopefully, this animal will be in a stream in Hong Kong and continuing the species' survival in Hong Kong.
Ivan Watson, CNN.
An American adventurer who ran a race to cross Antarctica unaided had a simple message for his family: I did it. But that's not the only thing he has done.
O'Brady took the final 80 miles of his trek in one monumental stretch, which he called the most challenging hours of his life, and some of the best. His 54-day journey tested the very limits of human endurance, dragging a 400-pound sled across the ice and walking 12 hours a day in 90-minute increments. O'Brady launched November 3rd from the Rhone ice shelf, racing against British Army Captain Lewis Rudd. He overtook Rudd in the first few days. After reaching the South Pole on December 12th, he picked up the pace, often traveling over 20 miles a day for a total 932 miles. The impossible first was a superhuman journey in inhumane conditions, all chronicled on Instagram. This trek is just the latest in a series of firsts for Brady.
I'm going up there.
In 2016, he scaled the tallest peaks on each of 7 continents in record time.
I'm on the summit of Mount Everest!
Part of what's called Explorer's Grand Slam. But he's also had setbacks, once burning 25% of his body and damaging his legs.
Oh my gosh, you guys are...
He shares it all with Jenna Besaw, his wife and manager.
We did it.
I can't believe it.
And told CBS Sunday Morning, everyone has the power to persevere.
I hope that people take away from this the power of the human spirit. When you believe in yourself and you dream big, that anything is possible.
In a true sign of sportsmanship, O'Brady is waiting for Rudd to finish his journey so the two men can fly out together. And in a true sign of Americana, O'Brady talked with musician Paul Simon during his trek. Simon reached out when he learned that his album Graceland was helping O'Brady make it through the exhausting days.
You're watching National MTV News this Friday. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with Rugby League. The 2018 Rugby League NCD Governors Cup ended today after 7 days of off-season rugby league, sponsored by the Office of the NCD Governor, Poes Pakop. The off-season Christmas tournament has been an annual event for more than 10 years. A team from 5 Mile, the ID24 Agros, won the 2018 Cup in muddy conditions.
It was a wrestle in the mud for players who were unrecognizable, uniformed in mud, as they gave their all in the slippery match in the final of the 2018 National Capital District Governors Cup. 9 Mile Warra Hayaka dwellers and ID24 Agros from 5 Mile played the final match of the 7-day tournament in a mud field surrounded by fences and a very vocal crowd. The game was slow with the rain damping the first half, but as the downpour subsided, the game had to go on. Slow runs for the advantage line and the slippery conditions causing errors in the match, slowing the pace of the game, the players even having to wash their faces to clear their vision in the mud pit. ID24 Agros halfback Joel Tapi scored the game's only try in the first half, converting the 2 points to take a 6-0 lead. 9 Mile Warra Hayakas only managing a conversion by 5'8" Mackenzie Booker to trail 6-2. The scores remained as that throughout the match, with ID24 claiming the 2018 Governors Cup and the 10,000 kina prize money. A total of 32 teams took part in the tournament, with the Office of the Governor donating 60,000 kina for the tournament, of which 25,000 kina was divided as prize money for the Cup, Plate Bowl and the Women's Tournament, which only 2 women's teams participated. Fidelis Sukina, National MTV Sports.
The sports abroad, the historic Sydney to Hobart yacht race was fully completed this morning, with Wild Oats 11 claiming the title. Let's take a look at the race and the winning team.
It doesn't get more Aussie than this, a celebratory slug of champagne out of a smelly shoe. But for Mark Richards, it probably still tasted pretty sweet.
This is one of the best ocean racing, one of the best yachting wins in my life, and I've won a lot of races, I can tell you.
Wild Oats 11 claiming a record 9th Sydney to Hobart crown in one of the closest races in history. At daybreak, 4 Super Maxis were separated by just 4 nautical miles. But a tactical gamble to head further east paid off for Wild Oats, who moved into the lead as the fleet rounded Tasman Island, although it was a nervous sail up the Derwent River.
I was always looking over my shoulder to see where the others were, because you can never tell what happens.
For the Oatley family who own the yacht, it's the first line honours since family patriarch Bob died in 2016. His grandson Daniel given the helm for the finish today. Last year, Wild Oats crossed the line first in record-breaking time, but a rule breach resulted in a 1-hour time penalty. The win was handed to Comanche, who today finished third.
Day of redemption for us, that's for sure. I mean, after last year's result, it was just so disappointing, but today, whether people like it or not, it was Wild Oats' 10th time over that line first.
Wild Oats' 9th victory is 2 more than any other yacht in the event's 74-year history.
She's a remarkable machine, and she's the Phar Lap of yachting, that's for sure.
14 years old, and Wild Oats still knows how to make a splash.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of Trukai Sports after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To cricket now, the Black Caps have comprehensively outplayed Sri Lanka on day 3 of the second cricket test in Christchurch.
As form goes, it doesn't get much better than this for Tom Latham.
And the gap, and it's a boundary, and it brings up Test 100 number 8 for Tom Latham.
The accolades piling up, Latham now trailing only John Wright for most runs as a Black Caps opener.
Been amazing to watch how he's controlled his innings.
It was an innings of few chances.
Oh, that's close, that has come back. Too high, maybe.
Latham surviving an LBW shout earlier in the day, saved by an umpire's decision. Overnight partner Ross Taylor wasn't as lucky.
That's close, that is very close, yes.
Latham built his run slowly, getting help from the Sri Lankan fielders along the way.
Oh, no one backing up, that'll run away.
And from Henry Nicholls, who became the 4th Black Caps batsman to join Latham in a 50-run stand.
That is beautifully played.
The pair sharing in each other's success. First it was Latham's ton, then Nicholls' half-century. And as the lead grew close to 500, Latham accelerated to his 150.
Unleashing now Tom Latham.
Before today, no Cantabrian had scored a century in Christchurch for 16 years. They now had 2 in the same day.
Nicholls gets to 3 figures as well. It's the Canterbury bonanza.
Together, they combined for a 214-run partnership before Latham's innings ended on the stroke of tea.
He's given him out.
The left-handed opener finishing the series with an average of 225. The Black Caps eventually declaring on 585 for 4. Thanks to New Zealand's fastest Test 50 from Colin de Gronholm. Sri Lanka needing a miracle to win this match.
The touch down the leg side has been given.
The Black Caps 8 wickets away from a record 4th consecutive Test series win.
To tennis, and defending ASP Classic champion Julia Georges is back in Auckland for her title defence and reliving the special memories from last year.
Is coming off a career year where she cracked the world's top 10 and made the Wimbledon semis, and she's hoping a run in Auckland can set her up for an even better 2019.
You won a tournament which you've played I don't know how many times before trying to win it, and you ended up winning it last year. I think that's something which makes it a little bit more special.
In 10 years of coming to the ASB Classic, Auckland has become a home away from home for Gerges and her team with a daily whiskey, with tournament officials part of her routine here.
From Julia Gerges. We have a little tradition at the end of every day, but only when it's successful. So we had good days in the last year. No, we're going to work on that, but I think that makes it also pretty special if you can share those moments, and you don't spend it all the times on the tournament, but if you start the year like this, it's a very nice tradition.
Gerges finds out her first round opponent tomorrow when the draw is finalised.
Still in tennis, Serena Williams has returned to the court for her first match since her US Open meltdown.
Taking on sister Venus in an exhibition match in Abu Dhabi. Next stop for Venus, the ASB Classic. And she got a rare win over her little sister in a 3-setter. Following the match, Serena continued to evade questions surrounding her confrontation with umpire Carlos Ramos in the US Open final against Naomi Osaka. The topic sure to come up when she guns for a 24th Grand Slam title at the Australian Open next month.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG
and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. We begin in the southern region. Port Moresby, a few showers with possible thunderstorms, then partly cloudy morning tomorrow with a top of 32 degrees. Daru can expect some rain and showers and possible thunderstorms this evening. Cloudy periods tonight with morning showers tomorrow expected in Popondetta. A shower or two tonight, then partly cloudy weather for the next 24 hours in Kerema. Alotau fine to 9, then a chance of morning showers tomorrow with a top temperature of 32 degrees. To the Momasa region, a shower or two tonight, then partly cloudy for Lae. A few showers tonight and cloudy weather for Medang. Showers with possible thunderstorm tonight and cloudy weather for Wewak. Rain, showers and thunderstorms tonight, and then cloudy weather tomorrow for Vanimo with a top of 30 degrees. A shower or two in Wa with a top of 28 degrees. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau can expect rain and showers with possible thunderstorms tonight, and then cloudy weather tomorrow. Keveng, a few showers with possible thunderstorms tonight as well. A shower or two tonight, then partly cloudy for Kokopo and Rabaul. A few showers with possible thunderstorms and partly cloudy tomorrow morning for Kimbe, and showers this evening with possible thunderstorms and then cloudy weather for Saturday in Buka. And to the Highlands region, all the major centres, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabe can expect a shower or two tonight with early morning fog developing. To the forecast for small ships, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of Manus and its western group of islands, New Ireland, East New Britain and north of Bougainville, including the Bismarck Sea, waters of Kiwai Island, Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point and Samurai Island. To the forecast for small ships, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerma, to Yule Island with waters of Yule Island to Hood Point, Samurai Island, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and waters of New Ireland to east and west New Britain and Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands with waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas 1 to 1.5 meters. And waters of Finschhafen through Vitier Strait and Dampier Strait, including Siasi Islands to Medang, Bogia, and with waters of Bogia to Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, seas moderate to rough with northwest tending clockwise winds at 20 to 34 knots. Solomon Sea, seas slight with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas moderate to rough with northwesterly winds at 20 to 34 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Friday the 28th of December 2018. On behalf of the entire MTV News team right around the country, pleasant viewing, have a safe weekend, good night.